This is Inside the Jaguar Nation, presented by Russell Law Firm.
That's right. Welcome to Inside Jaguar Nation. Another week. We got Morgan Beard here with us. I'm Brian Hall. We'll be joined by Ashley Lyotis and Aaron Lee, our Southern Insider, here in just a moment. But hey, just because it's the bye week this past week, they were still undefeated. But we're not just kicking up our heels. We're not resting. We're, of course, working on the next opponent.
Yeah, exactly. We're doing just a little bit of work around here while the team gets their rest. And of course, we know they're working too, but it is a bye week, so a perfect time for us here to break down some mid-season grades. But first, let's recap some of that good stuff, the Jaguars' last 2 wins. We know the offense, Brian, has played well the last few weeks, and against Fort Valley State, the Jags putting up 31 points on that scoreboard, and they got the ground game going in a big way with running back Herb Edwards going for 141 on the ground.
Yeah, really impressive. And actually, the Jaguars started that impressive scoring party against Alcorn State, scoring 31. And then that continued against Fort Valley State, and then Alabama State. Helps when you got number 1 running up and down the field. Mr. Danny Johnson also chipping in on the offensive side of things. But that offense has really been a bright spot these past few weeks. Here's Coach Odom's talking about that offense coming around, maturing, and by the way, now this team holds its destiny in its hands.
Some teams are playing well at the start. Some teams are going to play well in the middle. We like to play well in October. And if you do that, then you sort of can decide your own fate in November. Hopefully we're headed in that direction. Got a chance to go into the bye week with some momentum. You know, we coming off a win on homecoming. We back at 500. We're back at 500 in the conference. Hey, man, where you go from here is solely up to you.
Yeah, and to break this down just a little bit more, of course, we bring in our Southern Insider, the guy who knows it all, Aaron Lee, with us.
Hey, Aaron, I'll start first. Simple question. This offense, we talked about how it's been clicking. How so? What's been making it go as of late?
Well, the biggest difference from the beginning of the season until now has been the running game. It started with Devon Ben, then it moved to Herb Edwards. These guys have been running hard and opening up passing lanes.
And you mentioned the passing game. That's just been a big help to that quarterback situation, up and down with injuries, but that running game kind of carrying the team so far, huh?
Yeah, I agree with you, Morgan. The fact that they had injuries with Austin Howard and they played all the quarterbacks on the roster, the rushing game has been putting them in shorter downs and helped them move the ball up and down the field.
Yeah, if Herb Edwards, by the way, he's stepped up big, keeps running for 100 yards a game. I don't think it'll really matter who they put under center, just as far as the offensive keeps grading out well, and that's where we start to grade things out. Aaron, where do you kind of grade this offense thus far?
A B- for me, given the injuries to the quarterbacks. And the Jags have had some bad breaks this season. They also played some tough opponents early on, but they made adjustments with senior guys like Austin, Herb, and even some freshmen stepped up.
Hey, I like the grade. I like the optimism there, Aaron, and I agree for the most part. But I got to reel it back just a little bit.
Yeah, not so optimistic over there.
Usually I am, but I'm going to give it with a C here, which is not a bad grade. I just need to see a little bit more out of that passing game. I know injuries are a very valid excuse, but still, they can't win out the SWAC being one-dimensional.
Yeah, I hear you. I kind of wanted to go that way, by the way. I think they've turned a corner, though, and that's what happens when you get back your leader, your offensive leader. You got Austin Howard. Finally, he's that straw that stirs the southern drink, really. I mean, they have to keep him upright. He's not 100% healthy. I know he likes to tell us that he's 100% healthy.
He's a gamer.
I don't believe you, Austin. I wanted to give them a lower grade, but this past week really did a lot as far as I think the trajectory and the engine to that offense. Now let's move on, though, to another part of the Southern Jaguars, and that's really the playmakers. Where do you kind of grade things out as far as that goes?
The Playmakers is where they struggled the most, losing their senior wideout, Randall Menard. Coach Odom's and offensive coordinator Chinnis Berries is begging guys to step up, looking for guys to make plays.
Hey, big-time players make big-time plays in big-time games, right?
Exactly, and one of those, Danny Johnson, of course, we talked about him on special teams, and now on offense, they had to pull him over just to kind of give some muscle to that playmaking ability. And speaking of Danny Johnson, here he is talking about scoring and making plays on all sides of the ball.
Design play. You know, I knew if I get man coverage, I just felt like I can outrun whoever was over me. So, you know, it's just in my mind, I just felt like I had to make the play. And I know I'm capable of it, so I just got to continue to do it. It feels great to score on both sides of the ball. I really wanted to score on special teams as well. That would have been a perfect game, but, you know, I feel like it's going to come to me, you know, when it's time. But it felt great to score on both sides of the ball.
And let's get to the Playmakers grades. Aaron, you're up first.
I have to go with a C-. I don't think they can depend on Danny for the rest of the season. He's a great athlete, but you don't want to burn him out, and the team will figure him out. You know, they'll double cover him and, you know, throw a safety over the top sometimes.
They better, or they're going to be in trouble. Given with what they've been playing with, you know, Howard and Lampley losing the senior wideout target, Randall and Menard and all them, I got to give them an A because they faced that adversity and they've responded well. So we're bringing back that optimism for me.
All
Brian,
right.
what about you?
I like the optimism.
Yeah.
I'm with the optimism. Not so much. I've got an incomplete because the most valuable one, we've talked about him, Austin Howard. He's the quarterback. He's the real playmaker. He's really the guy that gets it on the outside. He makes it work. I don't care what he says. Like I said, I've watched him the past few years. He doesn't look the same out there. He's basically immobile back there in the pocket. He's done some things to kind of throw it from different arm slots and basically get it to those guys when the rush is in his face. But how often does that really, really work? And you're going to come down the stretch, and defensive coordinators, they're going to change their approach to him. So I've still got an incomplete. I want to be as optimistic as you,
You're
Morgan.
a tough grader, my
I
friend.
really want to be that optimistic. We'll see, and we'll see down the stretch if that really holds up. But, of course, every week we bring you the sounds that is the human jukebox. They've got a big performance, by the way, going to Jackson this weekend.
Oh, that is right. Coming up, we're talking about that defensive side of the ball. We haven't forgot you on that side. We're going to give you our grades there as well. And later in the show, we'll bring you our special feature, as always, that explains the Battle of the Bands this weekend at Jackson State. A lot of good stuff here to come inside the Jaguar Nation.
You're watching Inside the Jaguar Nation, presented by Russell Law Firm, with Brian Holland, Morgan Beard, Ashley Liotis, and Aaron Lee.
That's right. Welcome back to Inside the Jaguar Nation. I'm Brian Holland alongside Morgan Beard and our Southern Insider, Aaron Lee, who's been to every game this year. And let's talk about what actually wins championships. And you'll get a big amen from Coach Odom's back there. It's the defense.
Yeah, guys, we know that Coach Odom is a defensive-minded coach, to say the very least. And defense is something we know he knows about. So, Aaron, we're going to go to our expert here. I know you feel very passionately about this defense, don't you?
I have some choice words for the defense. Although they've seen some big plays from Aaron Tiller, Danny Johnson, and Simeon Houston, as a whole, as a body of work, it's been pretty bad to say the least. What do you think, Brian?
Yeah, I mean, run defense, admittedly, that's what Coach talked to me about, and we're going to get to my one-on-one with Coach Odoms, but he admitted, hey, some of these run fits, and you see then when you're committing extra guys there in the box because people aren't sticking to those assignments, then all of a sudden you can go over the top and you got wide open receivers all over the place.
Yeah, it's been tough to watch, but the Jags, they do have guys that are at least making plays somewhat consistently. If the unit that needs to step up and communicate better, it is the defense. But yeah, I think they can get it eventually going.
Listen to the stats. They gave up 160 rushing yards to South Carolina, 197 to Southern Miss, 167 to UTSA, and then 193 to Fort Valley State. So it hasn't been that great.
All right, so let's go ahead and move on to the grades. I mean, it hasn't been great. What do you give them there?
I have to give them a D. End of story, a D.
All right, Aaron, I'm going to do a little lighter and give them a C. You know, they faced some tough teams in the beginning of the season. We talked about that all year long.
Yep.
And Southern Miss, you know, they seemed like men amongst boys out there, it looked like. And, of course, UTSA beat Baylor early on this season, so the talent level this team has been facing is better than we've expected. So they face some serious competition, no pushover or gimme games at the start of this season.
Yeah, and my D is really, it just stands for disappointed. I mean, this is always supposed to be the strength of Dawson Odom's team, right? Coach Odom even told me the other day, look for those younger guys to now start maturing, no longer looking like freshmen. A lot of new starters out there. They've had a lot to learn, and especially in how to basically stop the run as well. Let's go ahead and graduate now to our performance of the week. Obviously no game, but let's pick one outstanding performer thus far through this season.
Yeah, I guess, guys, I'll go first. You have to go with Austin Howard. Now, of course, he's missed some games, and his performance has been up and down due to injury, which is deservedly so. But it's because he's battled those injuries is why he is my performer. Because he's been that spark plug, that heartbeat to the team, and basically when he's on that field, everyone's up and ready to play.
Yeah.
I'm going with the guy who shares my name, Aaron Tiller. On the defensive side of the ball, I just chewed him up, but this guy has been making play after play. Yeah. He's getting at least a sack a game. He had a 3-sack game this season, so despite everything that's going wrong with the defense, Aaron Tiller has been playing great.
I mean, this is no big mystery, right? Like, I'm going with Danny Johnson, #1. The MVP, though, in the stands, that's the human jukebox. That sound never gets old.
And coming up, the man you just heard, Brian Holland, sitting down with the other man here.
Oh, yeah.
Coach Dawson Odom's there. That's his name. During the bye week, though, nice time to game plan for the rest of the season, and it's always a busy time in Southern. We'll bust out the calendar and give you a rundown of all you need to know here on Inside the Jaguar Nation.
This is Inside the Jaguar Nation, presented by Russell Law Firm.
Hey, welcome back to Inside the Jaguar Nation. And guys, it happened. It's a bye week. So we got Coach Dawson Odoms to come to the studio to talk about where his team is at mid-season. Brian Holland got the chance to sit down with Coach and talk some good old football.
And look who's joining us for his Inside the Jaguar Nation. Well, here in the actual building, head coach Dawson Odoms of the Southern Jaguars. And really, we're just kind of taking stock, Coach, of how this season has gone, where you've progressed, where you feel like your team is right now. Where would you kind of grade them as far as where you expected to be at this point in the season?
Well, right now we're sitting at 500, so you figure you're about a 50% football team, but you're getting better at the right time. I think we figured some things out. We started playing a little bit better this last time out, so hopefully we got it going in the right direction.
You talk about the bye week, and it's a little tough because you want to push them, but you also want to maybe pull back and let some of those wounds heal coming through the season. It's a game of attrition, really. So you got to take care of your own. You got to take care of your team. Where do you feel like you have to, or what do you feel like you have to do with this team? Do you have to push them on this bye week, or maybe pull back a little bit?
Well, I really think we had to take the opportunity to really get well. And I think we did that. We were kind of beat up and banged up, so we took a little time to give our guys some time off to rest and recovery. I thought that was the biggest thing, and they've been able to do that. We still were able to get our practice in. We didn't go full gear this week. We went mostly in shells, and that's been the biggest thing, is just really rest and recover.
I know what keeps you up at night. You started there at Southern as a defensive coach. That is your bread and butter. That's what you want to see. That's your side of the ball, really. And the first few games didn't really shape up as well as probably you wanted to, but you've seen a lot of progression in SWAC play and against Fort Valley State as well. What do you think your team has taken the biggest strides on that side of the ball with?
Well, really putting this puzzle together. I think we've had so many guys to miss time. Got a lot of new guys in the secondary. Linebackers are getting better. So we're just really trying to focus on stopping the run. And I really think if we do that, we got a chance to be successful on defense.
Talking about that defensive side of the ball, the one that I've been talking about all season, Coach, Danny Johnson. I'm sure the Southern faithful have as well. He's impressed the Southernites out there at Ace Mumford Stadium. Is he one of the best defensive players you've ever seen on the ball? I mean, who do you compare this guy? It feels like he can do everything.
Well, I mean, I really think he's very talented and he's very smart. And when you put that combination together, you get a recipe for success. He understands. He does a lot of film study. I mean, he goes about the game as a pro now. So he's always up front in sprints. He's going to be sitting in the first 3 rows of the classroom. He's going to do the right things on and off the field. That's why he's so productive on the field. Taking care of your body, just having a great understanding and feel for the game. And he's one of the best that I've seen.
Hey, good stuff there, guys. Now in a bye week for the football team, let's turn our attention onto what the other Jaguars have going on around campus, and we bring in our very own Ashley Lyotis for more.
A lot going on the Bluff this week, but first let's take a look at how one team fared over this past week. Soccer took their skills to Washington, D.C., but lost to Howard this week 4-3. Coming up this week, volleyball is taking on 5 other teams in the SWAC Roundup on October 20th through the 22nd. Soccer going to take on Alabama A&M on the 20th and Alabama State on October 22nd. We will, of course, have all of these results and more next week on Inside the Jaguar Nation.
All right, thanks, Ashley. More sounds of the human jukebox. By the way, they got to go up to Jackson and War Memorial Stadium, and you know what that means. The 5th quarter, the Boombox Classic. Why was it called that? Why is it called that, I should say? And the story behind it. And, of course, that rivalry next, right here on Inside the Jaguar Nation.
This is Inside the Jaguar Nation, presented by Russell Law Firm.
Well, welcome back to Inside the Jaguar Nation. We all know the human jukebox. They can play. We see it before we go to break, but Jackson State thinks they can compete.
Yes, sir, and our very own Perry White and Garrett Ederson. We know what they've been doing all year long, taking their cameras behind the scenes for some great stuff, and once again, they work their magic documenting their rivalry between the two schools.
The Boombox Classic is not just about football, it's about the band. The Jaguars travel to Jackson, Mississippi. The Human Jukebox looks forward to taking over Veterans Memorial Stadium. We talk about the rivalry between Jackson and Southern, but it's no rivalry when you don't even have competition. A jukebox member myself, I can remember the time we marched into that stadium down in Jackson and completely took over the horseshoe, that's what they call it. We always played the show. We had the side with blue and gold and the side with blue and white, and the sun always shined on us. And we look forward to having a good time. This weekend is gonna be full of excitement. It's something about playing Jackson at Jackson that it's a feeling that you don't get anywhere else. I mean, it's a game where you're going into uncharted territory, you're in an entirely different state, you're around a lot of people that you know don't like the university that you represent across your chest. So that the atmosphere, the energy, is high, it's electrifying. You got two of the more top-ranking bands in the country going against each other. So along from being a battle of the teams with the SWAC conference, the Boombox Classic is a tremendous, fierce battle within itself. The Boombox Classic, Saturday, October 21st in Jackson, Mississippi. The Sonic Boom of the South taking on the well-renowned Southern University Human Jukebox. Go Jags.
Oh, yeah, and coming up next, of course, we'll have a scouting report on the winless Jackson State team up there and what you can expect. That's next, right here on Inside the Jaguar Nation.
This is Inside the Jaguar Nation, presented by Russell Law Firm.
Welcome back. Quick scouting report on Jackson State. What do you expect?
Yeah, they're 0-6 on the year in the win-loss column, but don't let that fool you. They are a SWAC team still. You don't want to let it become a trap game.
That it can be, especially a rivalry game. All right, for Morgan Beard, Ashley Lyotis, and Aaron Lee, I'm Brian Holland. Thanks for joining us.